something. The International Ornithological Congress in Brazil, I heard Yossi Leshem talk about his work for peace in several countries. And I immediately thought that this would be a great organization to expand over the world. And we have worked together since then. And I'm delighted that now the working group Birds for Peacemaking has become a reality with so many people joining. It is in some ways a sad irony that the creation of this working group occurs at a time when we very much need it, because all over the world we have conflict and war, and I'm delighted to see so many people dedicated to peace and using their professional expertise in birds to make this a reality. So I also heard that we have here not only Anglophone, but also Francophone participant. And as a Swiss, I grew up in Switzerland like Alex. I speak French. My French is a little bit rusty, but I will try to introduce this meeting now also in French so that our Francophone friends feel equally welcome. Bonjour, je suis Dominique Homberger, le président de l'Union Ornithologique internationale. Je suis à Baton Rouge, en Louisiane, aux États-Unis, et il est 6 o'clock le matin, maintenant. Je suis ravie de pouvoir introduire la Working Group Birds for Peacemaking, les oiseaux pour la paix, pour la première fois ici. Et c'était un plan que Yossi, Leshem et moi, nous avons travaillé depuis 2010, après le congrès au Brésil de l'Organisation internationale des oiseaux. Et nous avons travaillé pendant maintenant des dizaines d'années pour faire cette working group une réalité. Et je suis ravie de voir que c'est international, qu'il y a beaucoup de gens et nous pouvons parler le français, l'anglais et toutes les autres langues. Yossi, naturellement, parlera aussi en hébreu. Et j'aimerais ouvrir ce meeting. Je m'excuse pour mon français qui n'est pas tout à fait coulant, mais je ne parle pas très souvent le français. Néanmoins, je suis ravie de vous recevoir à ce meeting. Merci beaucoup.
Hello, everyone. My name is Imad Cherkaoui. I am Moroccan. I am working as a professor at the University of Tofail in Initiator in Morocco, which is a university that occurs 40 kilometers north of the capital, Rabat. I'm mainly teaching biological conservation biology and applied ecology. So my expertise is mainly, I work mainly on birds, but also on a few mammal species. Yes, well, I have joined the Barn Owl Coalition in 2018 when I was the first time invited to Jordan to discover how I mean this working group and also this coalition on Barn Owl. I have met for the first time. Well, it was not the first time that I met Yossi Leshem, but also it was the first time that I met Professor Alexandre Roulin, and also General Mansour Abu Rashid and many other colleagues who really are doing wonderful works for the protection of the barn owl as a rodent exterminator, but also as a pest controller, but also how wonderful all those people are working regardless of their religions or I would say, beliefs or whatever, but they are all working for the same causes, which is to spread message of peace, but also to work for the conservation of barn owl as a pest controller and in the Middle East region. So I was so impressed by this initiative, and I have decided to also to join this coalition. And since that time, I am also so like doing some activities, you know, by raising awareness about owls, because you know that owls are not nicely seen in our countries, but they are like birds that bring bad luck, and they are because of their nocturnal activities and also their voices. So I tried also to try to convince people that those, especially farmers, that the birds can really play a good role as a pest controller, and they can be a friend for farmers. So I say that since that time we are working all together to spread messages, and we have created recently a working group called Bird for Peace, which I am delighted to chair. And during the next IOE international meeting. And we are also, me and Yossi, Leshem, and Alex, Roulin, we are also composing this, the board of this working group. So, of course, we invite all people interested by this subject to, of course, join us and join our the working group and the session that we have already agreed upon during the next IOE meeting. So I will turn quickly in French. So bonjour tout le monde. Mon nom c'est Imad Cherkaoui. Je suis professeur à l'université Tofail au Maroc. Donc je travaille surtout sur les oiseaux et certaines espèces de mammifères. Donc j'enseigne surtout la biologie de conservation et l'écologie appliquée. Donc j'ai rejoint l'équipe ou bien la coalition qui travaille sur la chouette effraie depuis presque janvier 2018, quand j'étais invité à faire partie ou à rejoindre une réunion qui s'est tenue à la mer Morte en Jordanie, où j'ai rencontré pour la première fois un certain nombre de passionnés de la conservation de la chouette effraie en tant qu'une espèce qui peut être très utile pour les agriculteurs parce qu'elle chasse énormément de rongeurs et donc elle peut être utile pour lutter contre les animaux nuisibles comme les rongeurs. Et du coup, donc j'ai découvert et j'ai rencontré un certain nombre de passionnés qui travaillent indépendamment de leur religion ou de leur idéologie, on va dire, qui travaillent sur la conservation de cette espèce, mais aussi pour faire passer des messages de paix à travers, surtout dans cette zone un peu chaude du Moyen-Orient. Donc, j'ai rencontré des Jordaniens, des Palestiniens, des Israéliens qui travaillent ensemble pour la même cause. J'étais vraiment impressionné et inspiré. Et donc, j'ai décidé depuis de rejoindre. Mais aussi, j'ai travaillé localement au Maroc et dans d'autres pays avec des amis tunisiens, algériens, mauritaniens pour, c'est-à-dire un peu formuler des messages surtout par rapport aux chouettes, aux hiboux et des chouettes qui sont malheureusement considérés dans nos pays comme étant des porte-malheurs, des espèces, puisqu'ils ont une activité nocturne, donc ils sortent la nuit, et ils ont un chant un peu qui n'est pas très beau, mais en fait, c'est des espèces qui peuvent encore une fois être très utiles pour les agriculteurs et dans les zones agricoles. Donc, on essaie un peu de travailler ensemble pour passer ces messages. En dernier lieu, je vais dire juste que j'ai le plaisir aussi de présider le groupe de travail sur les oiseaux pour la paix, ou bien les oiseaux de la paix, et donc qui est maintenant, c'est-à-dire fait partie un peu des groupes de travail qui aura lieu donc au niveau du Congrès international des ornithologues, qui sera donc fait à distance. Donc,
okay, thank you, Imad. Alex, please, your turn, but let's make it a bit maybe briefly so we can make the presentation and then some time for questions.
Sure, Yossi.
Please,
Yossi,
Alex.
Sure. Okay.
Please.
Okay, very shortly, I'm Alexandre Roulin from the University of Lausanne, l'Université de Lausanne en Suisse. I'm involved in this wonderful project since, I don't know exactly, but 15 years, let's say, 15 years. And ça fait 15 ans que je travaille pour ce projet, Israël, Palestine, Jordanie. The goal was to combine nature protection and reconciliation, paix, biodiversité. And my role was at the beginning as a specialist of the barn owl. Donc mon rôle pour ce projet, c'était parce que je suis un spécialiste de la chouette, je travaille depuis 30 ans. But I became very fascinated by the social component of this project, the human component. And this is a pleasure to make this event now, today, with our African friends. Ils parlent français en plus, c'est incroyable, c'est super beau. Et donc, ça va être un plaisir de raconter tout ça. Et je donne la stage à Yossi. Voilà, merci.
Thank you, Alex. And do we have a General Mansour Abu Rashid with us? We don't have him. Okay.
Not yet. I will let you know when he joins, Yossi.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So I will say very, very briefly, my name is Yossi Leshem. I am a professor emeritus, as you can see, 75 years old. And I am one of the team who are believing in the Owl for Peace. I think the big story is not only an environmental issue, but getting people together. Also in conflict areas, this is the main issue. And I'm very excited that we have, of course, all our African friends. And I believe all this huge migration from Europe and Asia through the Middle East to Africa is a big story to join forces on this. So I just suggest with this, and Alex, just to introduce him, he's a world expert of barn owls, but he became also the ambassador of the issue in Europe. So he's not only a scientist, he's now also a politician. So I'm really happy that, and of course, Imad is our pen, and I'm now trying to put my presentation. I will start, and then Alex, you will follow. Maybe you give can you see it? Is okay?
It's perfect, Yossi. Go ahead.
Okay. So you see, we believe, in the Middle East, and other places, the pigeon or the dove were a symbol of bringing peace, but they failed in the Middle East. So believe the owls are doing the job. The question is, how do we want to see the Middle East? Do we want to see it like this or like this? We are using the birds and the barn owls as a platform of getting Muslim and Jews together, which was perfect. The question is, what is the vision? I always like to show the picture of President Bush from the United States standing like a birder, but he forgot to remove the cover of the binocular, as you can see. So when you work with politicians, you have to be careful with the vision. It happened also to our Minister of Defense 2 years later, after the President of the States. So the owls are nesting all over Israel, Jordan, and Palestine. And in 2002, we started a cooperation, and the idea was simple, to make nesting boxes for the barn owls. And then the barn owls, we know, are feeding mainly on rodents, and they can feed on the rodents and make the pest control instead of using pesticides, which was used by high level by Jordanian, Palestinian, and Israelis. And as you can see, the Middle East is a bottleneck. It's a junction for 500 million migrating birds over the Middle East twice a year, 1 billion on the way to Africa and back. For example, all the population of the lesser spotted eagle fly over Israel, and white storks, 85% of the population, about 600,000, and all the pelicans from the Palearctic zone flying over us. So the weather is nice in Israel, and we started in 1996 with the help of Angela Merkel. She was the Minister of Environment, to develop a project with Professor Peter Berthold, who was at that time the president of IOC, to put radio transmitter GPS on the German storks. As you can see here, Angela Merkel is covering this, and we developed a big website in Israel under the title Migrating Birds Know No Boundaries. Later on, the Americans joined us, and we put radios on 120 German storks who are migrating from Germany over the Middle East to Africa. Now, the idea was we gave them Jewish name, Christian name, and Muslim name, and the children in the school could follow a stork leaving Germany through the Middle East to Sudan. The bird stayed in Sudan for 2 months, and then almost in the end of November, her name was Princess. She moved on along the Great Rift Valley till Cape Town in South Africa. So as you can see here, this bird made the same route at the same time for 13 years, every year from Germany near Berlin over the Middle East till Cape Town. And then in the spring migration, almost on the same route, the bird is flying back to the same nest, to the same husband. And this was, of course, a very strong story. And the USAID gave us another $1.5 million. So the idea was that schools from Jordan, from Palestine, and from Israel will communicate through the internet under this title of Migrating Birds Know No Boundaries. So we had 90 schools cooperating. We took them in the field, and the students were meeting for lunch, making together. You can see on the right side the Palestinian student, a Jordanian student, an Israeli student, suddenly making lunch together. And the bottom line of all this story, which you see here, the storks from West Germany migrated over the Gibraltar to West Africa, to the Francophone countries, and the storks from East Germany were migrating along the Great Rift Valley. Every dot here is a stork with a radio GPS moving to Africa and all the way back. So the wintering ground in Africa are, of course, very, very important for migrating birds, and that's the reason we are so keen to join forces with African countries. And you see on the spring migration, flying back to the same place. We also got connected to Cornell University, and you can see here waders moving from Siberia along the ocean to the Yellow Sea in China. Then the waders are it's a stopover site for 1 week, and then all these waders are flying to Australia and New Zealand and Southeast Asia. And the same system we did with the stork. Cornell University is following the waders. Professor Fitzpatrick started this story. And of course, this is very interesting for students to follow. And we have now in Israel 520 schools who are following the migrating birds. We have also vultures who are nesting in Jordan and coming to feed in Israel. We had big problems with the Air Force in Israel. I just saw it briefly because we lost many aircrafts hitting migrating birds. So we used bird watchers across the country. We used radars. We had a Russian radar that we could follow the bird migration. I was flying with a motorized glider every day from Egypt border to Lebanon or Syria with the motorized glider. And we even used the drones, the unmanned aircraft, and we made new maps and succeeded to reduce dramatically the collision between bird and aircraft. So we made a big conference in Israel with the generals from Turkey, Jordan, Greece, and America who came to learn about it. And we even had hosted by the president of Israel. And all this idea to use the barn house, which Alex will tell a bit more later, was started in Malaysia, where in Malaysia they were building the boxes to stop the feeding of the oil nuts by rats. So we started in one small kibbutz with 14 nesting boxes. We found out from our studies, as I said, that a pair of barn owls are eating between 2,000 to 6,000 rodents. We made a big campaign, and in 2008, it became a national project in Israel, where the Ministry of Environment, of Agriculture, and Regional Cooperation joined forces, and now we have 5,000 boxes. And Jordan, with the leadership of General Mansour Abu Rashid, brought us about 300 Jordanian farmers. We made posters. You can see here Israeli farmers meeting Palestinian and Jordanian farmers, and some in the seminars, like Imad Cherkaoui said, at the end, we are dancing together. We are not enemies, we are friends. And some we found already 5 times, a male from Jordan and a female from Israel building together in nesting boxes, or vice versa. So we got our president, Shimon Peres, to see what we are doing in the field, and he helped us to develop it. And in 2002, on the right side, unfortunately, he didn't join us, General Mansour Abu Rashed, who was the head of the intelligence. He established an institute in Amman, in Jordan, Amman Center for Peace and Development. You can see here together with King Hussein. He was leading the peace treaty in 1994. Here you can see him on the right side with our late Prime Minister Rabin, who was assassinated. And on the left side with the bird is General Baruch Spiegel from Israel, who was his partner in building the peace, as you can see here. And here you can see in 1994, we signed the peace treaty with Clinton and His Majesty King Hussein. And on the left side, you see again General Mansour Abu Rashed. So you see here, as Imad again said, he tried to convince the Jordanian farmers, the barn house bringing good luck and not the bad luck. And here you can see the team from Jordan now monitoring about 380 nesting boxes with the T-shirts from Israel. We brought also the general to our parliament, to the Knesset. He gave a lecture, and we made even an exhibition on the barn owls and the birds as peacemaker. And on the right side, you can see our Speaker of the Knesset, who became later the President, Mr. Rubi Rivlin, and the Minister of Environment, and with Mansour Abu Rashed. And we have also on the border with Jordan bunkers, where many bats are looking for place to hang. So we put on the bunkers, on the seal, some materials so they can use them. And the general came to visit and is doing now the same in Jordan. We brought also artists to the Dead Sea, who is dying out, under the title Bringing the Dead Sea to Life. As you know, it's along the Great Rift Valley. The Dead Sea is the lowest place on world, minus 400 meters. And as you know, Israel and Jordan, both sides of the Dead Sea. We had, for example, the bearded vulture nesting there, but unfortunately they are gone. So we made a book with paintings of the artist. We brought students from Jordan, from Israel, to come and learn about this. The Palestinian also, even we have tensions between Israeli and Palestinian, they joined the project, and they understood that this is a big story which is killing a lot of thousands and thousands of migrating birds, some of them global endangered species like the imperial eagle here in the Hula Valley in the north, which was killed by the pesticides. So we have now 5,000 nesting boxes all over Israel, in Jordan, and the Palestinian Authority. And as you can see here, sometimes you can see about 5 rodents in one place. And it reduced dramatically the use of pesticides. So from bad luck, they became good luck. You can see here Palestinian farmers with an owl. They made also the nesting boxes. We have also students, Bedouins, Muslims, who are coming to learn about the barn owls together with Israeli students. We bring them pellets of the owls, and they analyze the pellets, and they are really happy to sit together. And in 2015, we started to do it also in Cyprus and in Greece. And on the right side, you can see Minister Cadiz, who is the Minister of Agriculture and Environment, who got very excited. He is a professor of ecology, and he is coming in 2 weeks' time to Israel to sign a contract with our government on this issue. Also, Greece developed by Dr. Vasilius an NGO, which on barn house it is called Tito. They made productions, and of course, Alex, as a Swiss country who is connected to peace, Alex is deeply involved now in all our activities. And I want to give now the stage to Alex to continue my presentation. Alex, please. I will run the slides.
Yeah, thank you, Yossi. Okay. French, English?
Like you did it, maybe mix a little bit between the
Okay,
two.
like before. Okay, I don't talk too much. Yossi, you can, you know, Yossi, I will make a sign like this to turn the slides. Okay. Okay. Bam. Let's go, Yossi. Okay, thus I joined the group, as I said before, in 2008. And initially, this was to do science. And then I was more involved into the human component. Donc, j'ai rejoint ce groupe en 2008. Mon but, c'était d'abord la science et ensuite plus la composante humaine. And I realized that Switzerland is important. We have watches, we have money, of course, but also we have chocolate, it's true. And but mainly peace, we are really deeply involved in peace. And I realized, j'ai réalisé quand je suis au Moyen-Orient, les gens ont vraiment ils nous croient vraiment. Donc, c'est très important pour nous en tant que pays neutre d'être impliqués dans ce genre de projet. Very important for Swiss people to be involved in this project. Yossi, please, next. Okay, thus at the start, my role was not only science, but also I proposed that to bring the words in the world starting from Switzerland. J'étais impliqué dans la science et ensuite, très rapidement, j'ai proposé que j'aide à communiquer ce projet, donc comme on va faire avec Dominique et Yossi, mais de commencer avec la Suisse. And here we see a picture of three of us, General Mansour Abou Rachid on the right of the screen, and on the left, Yossi Leshem, me in the middle. And this was during the Geneva Peace Week in Geneva in 2000, I don't even remember, 15, I think. And this was the very start of bringing the project on the international scene from my side. Donc, c'était la journée de la paix à Genève et j'ai invité mes collègues du Moyen-Orient à venir parler du projet en Suisse. C'était au début. Yossi. This is a picture of Yossi and General Mansour Abou Rachid in Geneva in a Starbucks. And I took this picture because I had the impression to live history. These two persons from the Middle East, the general who were fighting the Israeli some time ago, and Yossi as well on the other side. And we were talking about peace and the stories they experienced during the war. And this was very fascinating. Donc, c'est une photo qui pour moi est historique, où on voit un Israélien à droite, Yossi, un Jordanien à gauche, et ils se racontaient à Genève leurs histoires durant le conflit. Et donc maintenant, ces deux personnes ne se battent plus pour se battre à l'armée, mais se battent pour la paix. Yossi. Next, Yossi. Okay. Then we decided with Yossi to go at a higher level. And we went to Davos. Donc, le but, on nous a passé de Genève à Davos, where we gave a talk in Davos. And we have on the right, Baruch Spiegel, the general from Israel. His counterpart in the middle, General Mansour Abou Rachid, the two persons who prepared the peace treaty, Jordan, Israel, Yossi Leshem and myself. Donc, ça, c'est une conférence à Davos après celle de Genève. On a décidé d'aller toujours un peu plus loin pour apporter le message de paix en utilisant la nature comme véhicule de paix. Yossi, please. This event was under the auspice of the Honorable Shimon Peres, the late Honorable Shimon Peres. Donc, cet événement avait été prévu avec le prix Nobel de la paix Shimon Peres, donc israélien. Et malheureusement, il a eu une crise cardiaque juste avant. Il n'a pas pu se rendre. Donc, unfortunately, Shimon Peres could not join us in Davos. But I proposed to Yossi that we meet Shimon Peres in Jaffa at his office. And the main goal was to offer him a painting of Laurent Villnaguer, an artist from Switzerland, with which he drew a bearded vulture because Peres means bearded vulture in Hebrew. Donc, nous avons rencontré l'honorable Shimon Peres, qui malheureusement nous a quittés il y a quelques années à Jaffa, chez lui, avec le général Mansour Abou Rachid, le général Baruch Spiegel, Yossi Leshem et moi-même. Et un des buts, c'était de lui parler de l'événement que nous avions fait à Davos, mais également de lui offrir une peinture de Jipaït Barbu, parce que son nom, Peres, veut dire Jipaït Barbu en hébreu. Yossi? Nous avons continué nos pérégrinations, nous sommes revenus en Suisse et là, nous avons fait un événement avec l'ambassadeur, chez l'ambassadeur, la maison de l'ambassadeur israélien, notre ami Jacob Kedar, et il avait invité plusieurs personnalités, dont l'ambassadeur de Jordanie, ce qui était remarquable, il était venu nous saluer et nous avons fait une présentation tous ensemble. Il y avait également l'ancien chef de l'armée, le général Kekes. Thus, we did an event after Davos. We went to the home of the Israeli ambassador, but this was very important. The Jordanian ambassador joined us. This was a very friendly event at the house of the ambassador. Please, Yossi. Then, always higher, suddenly an idea, because maybe you know, in Switzerland, we change president every year. We have 7 ministers and we change. Every year, this is another president. And the president lives not very far from my home. And I have nest boxes of barn owls in his village. Thus, I wrote a letter to the president. I said, wow, we have a nice project with Yossi, General Mansour Abrashid, and our Palestinian friends. And it would be nice to present you the project. It took 1 year to answer me. And suddenly I received a letter. And he said, wow, fantastic project. I propose you that you present the barn owls and your project with your friends from the Middle East to the full team of ambassadors, worldwide ambassadors based in Bern. And we will invite all of them, 200 ambassadors. And this was a wonderful event. We showed them wild barn owls. We had an artist with us. You can see here le général Mansour Abrashid with the Swiss president Alain Berset and Yossi Leshem. Donc, en français, c'est que j'ai eu l'idée de proposer au président de la Suisse de faire un événement pour présenter notre projet au Conseil fédéral, donc au ministre de la Suisse. Et le président a mis environ 1 année pour me répondre, pour avoir une invitation formelle. Et il m'a proposé un événement encore plus remarquable que j'imaginais, c'était de présenter ce projet et des chouettes vivantes, hein, dans une ferme, aux ambassadeurs du monde entier qui sont basés à Berne. Nous avons fait cet fantastique événement dans un super château dans la countryside de la Suisse et ce fut vraiment un succès. Et évidemment, j'ai invité mes collaborateurs, Yossi Lesham, Général Mansour, Général Baruch Spiegel, à venir en Suisse présenter et en palestinien, bien sûr. Yossi? Then we went to the Paris Peace Forum. This was an important event because this was the celebration of the end of the First World War in 2018, on the exact date of the end of the First World War. And we were among, I think, 10 or 20 peace projects which we presented to the people there. And I have just to say that in the audience, there was Putin, by the way. And frankly, on this date, I wondered what he was doing here for peace. And you know the story. Here, I presented the project to the Prince de Monaco, the Prince of Monaco, and he was really fascinated. And you know, the Prince, I just saw him and I told him, Prince, come, please, we will present you the project. He said, oh, I'm sorry, I have to meet somebody right now, but I come later. And I thought, well, he will never come. But he came after, and he was fascinated by the project. Donc ici, j'ai présenté le projet avec Yossi Leshem, qui était à Paris également, le projet des oiseaux de la paix au Prince de Monaco, et il a été vraiment fasciné par ce projet. Merci, Yossi. And of course, after I had the idea to present the project to the big boss of the Catholic Church, because, you know, I always go in the Middle East, we're always with Jews and Muslims, and at the end, they say, well, where are the Catholics? And finally, I thought, okay, we should present the project to the big boss in Vatican. Thus, I went to the bishop in Fribourg, in Switzerland, and I needed almost 1 year to get the audience with the bishop. It took a long, long time. And donc, j'ai été voir le bishop, l'évêque de Fribourg, en Suisse, pour lui proposer l'idée. Ça a mis 1 année pour qu'il me réponde. Et il m'a donné 30 minutes, mais nous avons discuté 1 heure ensemble. Pendant 45 minutes, on a parlé de tout et de rien, de ski, de marche, de randonnée. Et après, il m'a dit, bon, monsieur Roulin, vous venez faire quoi, en fait, pour me voir? C'est quoi le truc? Et je lui ai dit, j'ai une demande audacieuse à vous faire. Il m'a dit, monsieur Roulin, nous sommes faits pour nous entendre. J'aime les demandes audacieuses. Et je lui ai dit, qu'est-ce que vous en pensez si nous allons présenter le projet des chouettes de la paix à sa sainteté, le pape? Il a dit, waouh, c'est génial. Et coup de bol, le pape venait 2 mois plus tard en Suisse, à Genève. Et il m'a dit, écrivez une lettre pour le pape. Et je lui ai donné la lettre dans ses mains et je peux vous dire qu'il va vous répondre. Et ça a attendu 1 année, 1 year to get an answer from the Pope. 3 years to go to the Pope. And of course, because he had to do some intelligence, he was thinking, who is this Yossi, by the way? Who is this Alex and Gerald Mansour? He does not invite anybody, And it took time. And we were invited on 11th of May 2018 to meet the Pope in Vatican. It was a wonderful event. We had 15 minutes, but he stayed 40 minutes with us. He was really fascinated by this project. Please, Yossi. And another event, we continue. This was in Switzerland with the Diplomatic Club of Geneva. Donc, c'est le club diplomatique de Genève. Cela inclut les ambassadeurs qui sont à l'ONU à Genève, le monde politique et le monde économique de Genève. Et nous avons fait un superbe événement où nous avons montré les chouettes aux ambassadeurs avec Yossi, le général Mansour Bouachid, Baruch Spiegel. This is an event with the ambassadors in the UN in Geneva. As you see, we could reach all ambassadors, UN, the country, the Pope, the President. Everybody knows about this wonderful project. Yossi? I think this is Imad, no? Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup de votre attention et je laisse la parole au professeur Imad Cherkaoui du Maroc.
Yossi, unfortunately, General Imad is not here. Maybe somebody can take over. Imad, next.
Okay, I continue. Maybe I propose that I just continue. Once Imad is here, he can follow.
Okay,
do like this?
yes, please.
Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you.
Okay, thus Imad said that he joined us in Jordan. Imad nous a rejoint en Jordanie. Et Imad a été fasciné, was fascinated by this project. And this is very, very important for us that we connect the entire pourtour Mediterranean, all countries around the Mediterranean Sea, and particularly the countries, the Muslim countries, to federate all these countries for peace and nature conservation. As you can see here, Imad Cherkaoui with the barn owl. And I would like to add that we collaborate scientifically as well with Imad and my team in Switzerland to understand from where the Moroccan barn owls come and if there is a connection with Europe genetically. Please. Wonderful Imad, superbe Imad avec une chouette. Yossi. Okay, this is the situation with the connection between the different countries involved in the peace, Hours for Peace. Donc, tous les pays qui sont actuellement impliqués dans ce projet, nous avons le Maroc, Morocco, Switzerland, Greece, Cyprus, Israel, Jordan, Palestine. Please, Yossi, after you have taken the picture. And of course, the goal is to have more countries. I have to say this is not easy. There are several challenges. If we take Algeria, Algeria refuses to do anything with Israel. This is a big problem. It's very difficult to bring the word in this country, which is unfortunate. Another, I think, big challenge is to find people who work with these owls. It's not easy to work these owls. You need to put boxes. You need money, you need strong effort. Ce n'est pas facile de travailler avec ces chouettes. Il faut vraiment des gens qui sont dédiés à faire ce travail. Donc, c'est un travail de longue haleine et c'est un travail physique également. Donc, c'est pas facile de trouver des gens qui sont à la fois intéressés par le problème de conservation, travailler avec ces chouettes, et le problème humanitaire et le problème de la réconciliation entre les peuples. Et c'est exactement la raison pour laquelle nous travaillons avec Dominique pour Yossi, d'apporter le mot dans la communauté des ornithologues. Les ornithologues doivent s'intéresser aux oiseaux, mais également à l'humain. Si nous voulons faire, au-delà de la paix, conserver la nature, il faut que les humains soient impliqués, vraiment se sentent impliqués dans ce projet. If we want to save the world, we need the human and humans have to be really convinced. And this is the goal and our mission to do. Okay, Yossi, please. Imad, still not here. No, I continue. Okay, this is a wonderful project initiated by Yossi in the Middle East, and this is something we would like to expand in other countries, because you have to. The barn owl is a pest control agent. Donc la chouette effraie est utile pour le monde paysan, pas seulement intéressant pour les ornithologues, mais aussi pour les paysans. And we need to communicate results to the farmers. We need to show that yes, the barn owls are really doing the job for you in your fields. On doit montrer aux paysans, aux agriculteurs, que la chouette, c'est vraiment leur allié. Ce n'est pas un oiseau de malheur, mais un oiseau qui aide les paysans à réduire la quantité de rongeurs qui détruit leur culture. And in Israel, Israel is very strong for innovations, technology. Israël très, très fort pour la technologie. And they developed a fantastic system where you have antennas in the plane, many antennas. You put a small GPS on the back of the barn owls, and by triangulation, you get data where the barn owls are hunting. And you could put this GPS on hundreds of owls at the same time. The entire family, for instance, of a barn owl pair, you can put the GPS, the parents, the chicks, and you know exactly where they go. Donc, avec ce système Atlas, grâce à Yossi, nous pouvons étudier le comportement de fourragement de ces chouettes sur une centaine de chouettes en même temps. Par triangulation, on sait exactement à quel endroit sont les chouettes, dans quel champ, et nous pouvons ensuite montrer ces résultats aux paysans. Plus que ça, nous pouvons même savoir si les chouettes, chaque soir, vont d'Israël en Jordanie ou de Jordanie en Israël. Et donc, c'est un message important pour les enfants de montrer que les oiseaux n'ont pas de frontières. Ça paraît bête, tout bête comme ça, mais quand on voit vraiment sur une animation, on voit ce qu'elles font, ça change, ça s'imprime dans le cerveau des gens. Donc, we can show to the people that the barn owls, as other birds, by the way, the barn owls cross every night the borders without visa, without passport, from Israel to Jordan, Jordan to Israel, Palestine, Israel, etc. Please, Yossi. Now, Yossi, if you want to add something, put the microphone. Imad is here?
Yes, I'm here.
Continue, please. You were not there. I started your presentation. Please continue, Imad.
Yeah, can you please proceed with the slides?
Yossi, next slide, please.
Yeah. Next slide.
Yossi, put the microphone if you want to talk. It doesn't work, Yossi, your sound.
Now it works?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to add that this project for African countries it's called Atlas system. It gives you the opportunity very cheaply to follow. And we are also in education. The guy, the Professor Or Spiegel, he's the son of the general. He is now leading it with a student who is doing his PhD. He put already 130 radios on the owls. And this is really a big story for us because it gives us the chance to follow.
Yossi, the sound. Yossi, it doesn't work.
I don't know what's.
Yeah, no, it's okay. No, it's okay.
Okay, but the presentation is stuck now. I don't know why. I will try again. Okay, Imad, if you want to. Okay, here it is. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So what I wanted to say, this is a big story for all of us. And what I propose in the future, everyone who wants to do it in this country can learn what we are doing. We have been in October, Alex and Imad Cherkaoui and myself and the Palestinian partner. Alex didn't mention, you see, we covered his face because there is still conflict. He is agreeing to work with us, but not to be in public, our Palestinian friend. And we went to the first week was on biodiversity in Dubai. And because the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs didn't join forces, the Switzerland Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with the help of Alex and the team of the ministry, we did everything in the 5 team, as you can see here. In Expo, we told them the story. And very exciting, the Minister of Environment and Climate Change of Dubai. And here you see the General Director of Dubai, of the ministry. They came to hear our lecture in the Swiss. And then our Minister of Environment, Tamar Zandberg, she came also to the first week of biodiversity. She met the team, again, talking to her, smiling. And as I said, Dubai is going to meet us. We gave the Minister of Dubai the book about the barn owls in Arabic. You see, we made the book about barn owls in English, in Hebrew, in Arabic, and I'll be more than happy if you send me your addresses to send to everyone who wants it. And you see now the Minister of Dubai with the flag of Israel. This is through the bird story, bringing the peace through the birds. So you see, we're sitting here with the team, and hopefully soon the Emirates are going to join this project in the Middle East. And I think because it's now 10 to 3, last and not least, you see, after we made this meeting, Imad Cherkaoui succeeded to do publicity in Morocco on the cover page. Maybe, Imad, you will tell that this is now going on a big scale also in Morocco. Imad, please.
Yeah, thanks, Yossi. Definitely that. So when we came back, so to continue with really to approach journalists and also social media, we have published several articles so that we can bring knowledge and share information about the role of owls that can really play, that can be a friend, as I said. That, as we all said, friends for farmers, that instead of being persecuted, they could be really protected by the farmers themselves to really, save their crops from being damaged by the pests. Donc, en revenant justement, donc on a essayé un peu de faire de la publicité pour le projet. Nous avons contacté plusieurs journaux fameux au Maroc, mais aussi des pages Facebook d'associations dans les réseaux sociaux pour essayer un peu de sensibiliser les agriculteurs, mais aussi le grand public sur l'importance de conserver les chouettes et non pas les considérer comme des porte-malheurs, mais plutôt des amis des agriculteurs pour justement protéger les récoltes et les avoir en tant qu'amis. And then we have, of course, met in November in Israel, in the Jordan Valley, with the Palestinians and the Jordanians colleagues. Of course, we have all, met all together and learned from each other about everyone's experience with regard to the barn owl, and how we can, of course, expand this project to other areas, but also to exchange at regular basis all the outcomes of this project. Nous se sommes rencontrés encore tous, entre Palestiniens, Jordaniens, Israéliens et moi-même, dans la vallée de Jourdain en Israël. Et nous avons donc discuté un peu du futur des projets. Nous avons aussi échangé un certain nombre d'idées. Et nous avons aussi, and we have again, of course, make lectures and met students, Palestinian students, along with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Israeli Ministry of Agriculture, and we have, of course, listened to their presentations and their project, the school project with regard to the barn owls. Nous avons aussi rencontré des écoliers à Tel Aviv, donc où nous avons aussi rencontré le ministre de l'Agriculture israélien, qui est un arabe israélien. Et en fin de compte, nous étions aussi honorablement reçus par le président de l'État d'Israël et son épouse. Et donc dans la photo, donc c'est moi-même et Général Mansour, donc reçu aimablement par le président d'Israël. Donc, so we have been received as well by the president of Israel and his wife in his presidential residency. And in the photo, there is also General Mansour, myself, and the President of Israel and his wife.
And sorry, Imad,
Yeah.
I just want to tell you, the President of Israel, Yitzhak Herzog, was very excited of meeting the 5 countries representative, and he is now all the time marketing this project. So the contact with high-level decision maker is very important to get it on a higher level. And you see, as you can see here, he met all the team with the Palestinian and Jordanian, and also the Dr. Vasilius from Greece. And in Greece, they put 25 media pieces in the internet and in the newspaper, in the TV. So I think to sum up the meeting, because we have only 7 minutes to maybe for some questions, the barn owls are playing a key role in this. And I think that the message to take home from our side, think outside the box, like the boxes of the barn owl. And more important, if this I heard from Shimon Peres, if you want to run fast, run alone. If you want to run far, run together. And we want to run far, and I think that all our friends here, we are 34 people here, we want to run far.
Before I introduce myself, I want to congratulate everyone who's been involved in this. It's really impressive to see this. Félicitations à tout le monde qui s'implique dans ce beau projet. So just to introduce myself, and apologies for the noise around me, there's a bit of construction going on. I'm a physician in Quebec, Canada, so I work in microbiology. I also have a training in anthropology, and I started my research looking at antibiotic resistance in regions of armed conflicts. So, je suis médecin au Québec, au Canada. Je m'intéresse à la résistance aux antibiotiques et particulièrement dans des régions de conflits armés. So antibiotic resistance is when bacteria who used to be sensitive to antibiotics, the antibiotics no longer work. La résistance aux antibiotiques, c'est quand les bactéries ne sont plus sensibles aux antibiotiques qu'on utilisait pour les contrer. And more recently, I've started to look at antibiotic resistance in a wider spectrum, and looking at the environment and looking at how it also impacts wildlife, including migratory birds. So I reached out to people and I've met Ellie 6 months ago, and we've started considering looking at the impact of antibiotic resistance on migratory birds. And because of my interest in armed conflicts and bird migration, my research is actually based in the Middle East. So I do research mostly in Lebanon, but I have collaborators in Israel and Jordan and elsewhere. So I just wanted to make maybe a pitch to see if there's any interest among the group here to look into different collaborations. I just want to share my screen very briefly to show you an initiative that was started by I don't know if you can see my screen. Can you?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is an initiative started by a Lebanese Canadian about advocating for migratory birds in Lebanon. There's a lot of illegal killing of birds in Lebanon going on, people who kill birds for sport. And obviously, these birds probably fly through Israel and neighboring countries as well, and on to Africa and to Europe as well. So this is an initiative also that's reached the very highest levels with the president of Lebanon. And so potentially already a source of collaboration. And maybe a quick word to say, unfortunately, the same as Professor Roulin highlighted with regards to the Algerians not being able to collaborate with Israeli, the same applies to Lebanese academics, unfortunately, because of geopolitical reasons. But hopefully, if we can start something, it will maybe be a bridge for peace. So I'm just sharing this potential invitation to consider linking with Marwan Awaijan, who started this project in Lebanon, maybe looking at antibiotic resistance, maybe if this is something of interest, and hopefully we can look at avenues for collaboration. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Louis Patry. I know we were involved together.
We, now this Russian radar is not working anymore because the general who came from Russia as an immigrant, he is 83, and he stopped to work there. But our flight safety unit are using American radars and with very high accuracy. And of course, if you want to share this experience, it's a different issue, and I'll be more than happy to join forces. Of course, Egypt is very important for us to join forces because you are on the border of Israel. And after the peace treaty with the late President Sadat, this is a bit a cold peace, but now things are getting warmer. So the birds can be a big ambassador also with Egypt. And we are more than happy to start a new cooperation with Egypt, like we did with Morocco.
Thank you.
Ajouter, il faut prendre en compte le volet humain. Bon, ça c'est vrai. Moi, je suis Dr Kwedi, je suis ethno-ornithologue. Donc, c'est le volet humain, le relationnel qui existe entre les hommes et les oiseaux qui m'intéresse beaucoup. C'est sur ça que je travaille. Alors donc, c'était vraiment très, ça m'intéresse beaucoup. Alors, moi qui suis en Côte d'Ivoire, comment est-ce que selon vous, je pourrais, enfin, on pourrait participer à ce projet?
Alex, briefly tell this in English, please, and then answer in French.
Okay, I will tell in English the question. There were two questions mainly, if I could remember. The first one is what do we know about owls in West Africa? Qu'est-ce que nous savons sur les chouettes de l'Afrique de l'Ouest? Bon, personnellement, je suis spécialiste de l'effraie des clochers, qui se trouve également en Afrique. Il y a relativement peu d'informations sur les chouettes effraies. Les autres chouettes, je pense, c'est un petit peu pareil. Peu d'informations sur les chouettes effraies en Afrique. Il y a quelques publications, je les ai collectées d'ailleurs, ces articles sur ces chouettes, principalement sur le régime alimentaire et un tout petit peu sur la reproduction. Je crois qu'il y avait des articles en Mauritanie notamment. Donc, c'est quelque chose de très important si les gens sont impliqués dans des projets sur les chouettes, de publier ces résultats. C'est très, très important. Même des résultats qui paraissent, voyez, régime alimentaire, quelqu'un qui fait des analyses, c'est toujours important de publier ça. Ça donne un peu ça inspire les autres et ça peut être repris à plus large échelle. Donc, je recommande vivement de faire ça. Ensuite, pour travailler sur ces chouettes, les chouettes effraies, non, je ne connais aucun groupe qui travaille sur l'effraie des clochers. Donc, c'est l'organisme que nous utilisons au Proche-Orient. Aucun groupe vraiment en Afrique. C'est très dommage. Mais voilà, nous avons tous les mêmes difficultés. Et la grande question, c'est évidemment, quels sont les besoins logistiques? Mais tout d'abord, c'est de trouver les bonnes volontés qui sont vraiment intéressées à faire ce projet. Et souvent, il faut faire ça en groupe à plusieurs personnes. Donc, je pense que c'est bien peut-être d'avoir, si vous avez des groupes d'ornithologues, de savoir à quel point vous pouvez travailler ensemble. Ensuite, nous-mêmes, nous pouvons donner des conseils aux gens pour qu'ils puissent effectuer ce travail. Donc, I just said a few words about the fact that we can help people in Africa to start projects, but they have to start themselves. You know, we cannot tell people, do this, do that. No, no, no. There should be people in the field, on the ground, who should start, and they should join forces among each other first. And once there are the goodwill of the people to do something, they can contact us and we can give advice and discuss. Then the question was second, and I salute this person to tell that he's an ethno-ornithologist, and he really wants to bring together human and nature conservation. And maybe I can say one or two things from my own side. I started project with psychologists, and we send questionnaires. Just please contact me by email, and I will send you the link, internet link. What we do, we did a questionnaire about how people feel about owls, not only barn owls, every owl. And this is to understand the superstition, how deep the superstition are ingrained in the countries. And we did it worldwide. We have already more than 20,000 answers from worldwide. And we can analyze this, you know, age, sex effect, if people believe in God, if people know Harry Potter, if people, you know, have birds, pets, etc., etc. And we have a snapshot of the worldwide scale about how people feel. And this is very important because then once we know what the people feel, we can start to change the mind of people and where to do it. Donc, je disais pour les francophones, nous avons commencé un projet de psychologie où nous questionnons les gens, pas seulement les ornithologues, hein, tout le monde, concernant leur attitude face aux chouettes, avec l'idée de tout d'abord, un, comprendre leur attitude, deux, savoir quels sont les liens qui sont associés avec ces attitudes positives ou négatives, ou neutres. Les ornithologues sont neutres, pour eux ce sont des oiseaux, c'est tout. Et la troisième, c'est de comment pouvoir changer les attitudes qui sont négatives. Vous savez, c'est comme les fake news avec Trump. Regardez Trump aux États-Unis. Il y a des gens qui croient à fond tout ce qu'il raconte. Et même si c'est faux, et donc c'est dur de lutter contre les fausses informations. Et les chouettes, ce sont des fausses informations. Et par exemple, au Kenya, pour terminer, au Kenya, les politiciens ils disent, si tu veux gagner les élections, il faut manger des œufs de chouette. Plus tu manges d'œufs de chouette, plus tu as de chances de gagner les élections. Et si tu ne gagnes pas les élections, c'est que tu n'as pas mangé assez d'œufs. Donc, je sais, there are some stupid thoughts which can be anywhere on the planet. Not only, I'm not talking about Africa. I do not stigmatize Africa, not at all. This is, you know, in Switzerland, we were nailing the owls against the wall of the churches, you know, in the past. Donc, nous faisions ça également partout. Mais il faut changer les attitudes. Et donc, ça, vous pouvez seulement m'envoyer un email et nous pouvons rester en contact. Merci.
Bonjour à tous. Je suis Kwadia Sonia. Je suis doctorante en fin de cycle. J'étudie l'ornithologie agricole. Je suis sous la direction du professeur Yao Kokoré. Donc, je m'intéresse plutôt à l'aspect de la présentation qui a parlé de la sensibilisation auprès des agriculteurs, parce que l'oiseau de paix qui est la chouette extrait est un oiseau de proie, c'est ce que j'ai pu entendre des présentations. Et ma question est de savoir comment, avec les travaux qui ont été faits, comment la sensibilisation auprès des agriculteurs ont été faits. C'est-à-dire, est-ce que déjà, avec les études, on a déjà des chiffres, des informations importantes sur l'impact de l'insertion de cet oiseau de proie dans les cultures pour la baisse de la réduction des rongeurs, qui sont des ravageurs des cultures. Donc, c'est de savoir s'il y a des travaux qui sont vraiment faits au niveau de cet oiseau de proie là. Parce qu'au niveau des études que nous faisons ici, c'est vrai qu'on s'intéresse plus aux oiseaux diurnes et comme la chouette est une espèce nocturne, il n'y a pas assez d'informations, assez de données sur cette espèce ici en Côte d'Ivoire. Donc, c'est de savoir un peu ce qui est fait au niveau de ce projet, et que s'il y a possibilité de pouvoir compiler des informations sur cette espèce-là. Merci.
Okay, maybe I can just translate the question. She asked, hello first, and she wanted to know whether there are some information how to communicate what we know about the owls, any bird, in fact, in general, to the farmers, how to tell them that the owls are the ally to reduce the rodents. I think what is important, qu'est-ce qui est important, is first to have connection with the farmers. That's what we do in Switzerland, what we do in the Middle East. That's the same. You have to go to the farmers. You have to, and you know, in Africa, there are a lot of superstitions still. And I think that you need to take time to explain and not to behave like a big professor, you know, to talk freely with the people and to tell and to show, you know, the pellets, they regurgitate the pellets. Just go to them and show them you've broken the pellets, you show them the mice, what they eat. And then you explain that they go in the field and they work for them. And you ask whether, I wrote a book, by the way, there is a French translation about the barn owl. You look at De La Chaux Nestlé. It was published last year in French. And you can show that you know, like the Palestinians, in the Muslim countries, they are very afraid of the barn owls. But once you start to explain them that this is very important, you are surprised to see that very quickly they even take the owls in their hands. And the barn owl, what is very important, this is a bird which is close to human in the agriculture. And this is an open door for us to explain them more than the owls, to talk about biodiversity. thus such a bird is very important because there is an economic benefit for them because they eat the mice. But then you can start to talk about more general issues. And you have to change the, you know, they think that this is a bad omen, and you have to explain them this bird brings good luck. I don't know if Yossi wants to add something about
yes, please, Alex, very briefly. What I totally agree with every word of Alex. You have to meet the farmers, talk to them, show them. If you're coming to ring, for example, the barn house, you call the farmer who owns the land, and you show him how you are ringing or bending the barn house. He's very excited. But more important about this, we have a web camera in one of the nesting boxes. When they see in the evening how many times they come with the food, with the web camera, they're excited. We printed a lot of material explaining the story, how to build a nesting box, what are they doing, every year we have a result. Every year we have a lecture day with 250 farmers. They come to the lecture day, they can change information. We pay for the food. We make on regional level pizza and beer and burnouts. They come one evening on the regional area and meet together, and they become friends. And of course, we meet Muslim and Jewish farmers together. And we made posters, we made postcards. We made the postcard with the burnouts, a set. We made a sticker for the car, a lot. So that's the way that they tell each other. If it works, then they are joining this. Okay.
I'll just translate very quickly. What he said, that once you have chicks with the barn owls, excusez-moi, je parle en anglais. Ce que Yossi a dit, c'est que quand il y a des jeunes dans les nichoirs, ce que nous faisons, c'est ce que je faisais tout à l'heure. C'est pour ça que je suis arrivé en retard. On montre les chouettes aux gens, aux paysans. Les paysans disent à leurs frères, leurs amis, leurs enfants. C'est très important, les enfants. Il faut commencer avec les enfants. Donc, nous amenons les gens qui voient, qui touchent, qui voient et qui ne vont pas mourir s'ils touchent ces chouettes. Ensuite, ce que de Yossi et ce que nous faisons également en Suisse, nous faisons des réunions où les gens se rencontrent. Et donc, non seulement pour parler des chouettes, mais ça amène les gens ensemble en plus. Vous voyez, ça connecte les gens. Et notamment au Moyen-Orient, ça connecte les Juifs et les musulmans. Et on peut imaginer également en Afrique, il y a plusieurs communautés et ça permet les communautés de se mélanger autour de la protection des animaux, des oiseaux. Voilà.
Au nom de l'université Ecology de Corogo, une ville au nord de la Côte d'Ivoire. Donc, je travaille un peu sur les oiseaux des zones humides, notamment les lacs, et aussi les oiseaux dans les milieux urbains. Donc, j'ai été ravi de la présentation et j'avais deux questions. La première, elle a trouvé une réponse. Ça portait sur pourquoi le choix des chouettes est frais. Donc, je pense qu'il y a quelqu'un qui a déjà posé la question et j'ai eu la réponse à travers la réponse de ce dernier. La deuxième, c'est est-ce que vous pensez que le projet a réellement eu des effets, des résultats concrets en travers de la paix, c'est-à-dire que c'est de promouvoir un peu la paix entre les Israéliens et les Palestiniens. Est-ce qu'aujourd'hui, on peut dire qu'il y a des résultats concrets dans ce sens-là? Voilà, merci.
Okay, donc the first question was why the barn owl? Why to focus on this bird? Pourquoi traiter la chouette effraie? Donc la réponse est relativement simple. Il y a non seulement la chouette effraie, mais également le faucon kestrel, European kestrel, or the kestrel, who can work. The kestrel works during the day, the barn owl works at night. Cannot be more efficient. Vous travaillez avec le faucon kestrel la journée, la chouette effraie le soir. La chouette effraie, l'avantage, c'est que cet oiseau chasse exclusivement dans les milieux ouverts, donc dans les champs agricoles. Ce n'est pas un oiseau qui chasse dans les forêts, par exemple. Donc, c'est un oiseau qui est, en plus, il est efficace pour la chasse. Et plus important, ils ont beaucoup de jeunes. On peut avoir jusqu'à 10 jeunes. Donc, une famille de 10 jeunes, plus les parents, vous mettez ça sur une année, nous estimons qu'ils mangent jusqu'à 6 000 rongeurs, une famille, une grande famille. Donc, c'est très, très efficace. En plus, vous pouvez attirer ces chouettes dans des nichoirs. Donc, ce n'est pas comme le hibou moyen-duc qui fait son nid dans un nid de corneilles, de corbeaux, corvidés, dans un arbre, où vous n'avez aucun contrôle. Là, vous pouvez augmenter les populations de façon plus ou moins artificielle, évidemment, mais vous pouvez augmenter les populations, donc c'est très efficace, c'est pour ça le choix. That's barn owl, because you can put nest boxes, they will come freely. They hunt in open landscape, thus in agricultural fields. and they are very efficient. They produce many chicks. Those many chicks, this is 3-4 mice per night. Thus it's really a lot. And one family of barn owls, large family, can eat up to 6,000 rodents during 1 year. Okay, the second question is whether there are some concrete facts about reconciliation between Palestinians, Jordanians and Israel. Donc, s'il y a des résultats vraiment concrets, je dirais que, évidemment, il n'y a toujours pas la paix. Hein. Ce n'est pas les chouettes qui vont faire la paix là-bas. On est bien d'accord. Toutefois, c'est ce que nous appelons la diplomatie scientifique, scientific diplomacy. You need to bring people together. There are several steps. Let's take Jordan, Israel. Jordanie, Israël. Ils ont un accord de paix. Donc là, on n'a pas besoin de faire la paix. Mais il faut maintenir la paix. Il faut maintenir des contacts entre les gens des deux côtés de la frontière. Et ce projet permet justement de mettre les gens ensemble. Alors évidemment, il n'y a pas toute la Jordanie ni tout Israël qui se revoit tous les jours, puis se serrent la main, puis mangent des pizzas ensemble. On est bien d'accord. Mais le message est transféré plus loin. Et les ambassadeurs, en plus, on l'a constaté 20 000 fois, les ambassadeurs, quand on commence à leur montrer des oiseaux, ils sont fascinés, les gens. Ils sont intéressés par la biologie, beaucoup plus que je le pensais moi-même. Et ça permet aux gens, aux ambassadeurs, de parler de choses. C'est un peu comme quand on parle de football. On parle de football, puis après on commence à parler de la famille, puis après on parle business. Et là, ça permet aux gens d'avoir une attitude beaucoup plus positive les uns face aux autres. Ils voient quelque chose de concret sur le terrain, où ils voient des paysans avec les chouettes. Ils voient quelque chose que la nature est profitable pour l'homme, aide les paysans, et ça, les politiciens adorent si on peut aider le monde agricole. Donc ça permet de maintenir des contacts qui pourraient très facilement, la Jordanie et Israël, se déconnecter. Ensuite, la Palestine. C'est beaucoup plus compliqué, la Palestine. Palestine is more complex. This is less organized compared to Jordan. It's not easy, but this is very important to keep them in the loop, to get the contact among each other, and with the kids, like Yossi said about the artists, with Palestinian, Jordanians, and Israeli artists, and then they spread the word. And more than that, I tell you a story. When we're in Jordan, lorsque nous étions en Jordanie, c'était la secrétaire de Yossi, Adi, the secretary of Yossi. She told me, there was a young kid, a lady, and she came, a Jordanian. She came to the secretary of Yossi and she said, "Wow, I thought you were a monster." Elle a dit à la secrétaire, je croyais que tu étais un monstre. I said, "Why?" "Yeah, because I thought that the Israelis are monsters." And he said, "Well, you are nice." As you see, they meet each other and they realize, yeah, they are human as I am. And if you want to make peace, you have to start with this message, which is very simple. And you start from the ground, bottom up. And this is the point what Yossi mentioned, bottom up. En bas jusqu'en haut, mais en haut jusqu'en bas aussi. You need the two approaches, bottom up, but top down as well, because you need the top to spread the word at a larger scale. And the bottom up, because the politicians see that it works on the ground. Thus, we can have a huge impact. And even if there is not peace yet between Israel and Palestine, we have to continue. We have to spread the
work for the Ethiopian Wildlife Conservation Authority. I am wildlife ecologist by training and have served more than 3 decades in the field of wildlife conservation, mainly working on large mammals. However, we are also very much interested on birds, and we have people working on birds, especially there are researchers on migratory species. Yes, birds are, incredible creatures, and they are ecosystem connectors and bioindicators. We really appreciate, the knowledge shared by these scientists in the presentation. I would like to congratulate the presenters for sharing us, this useful information. So I think in the future, there are people who will join this group because we want to run together to reach far, as it has been mentioned. So we are happy to work with you. And anytime, so there are people who are not available today to attend this, but I will inform and they will join you, and I am happy to work with you. So thank you for everything.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you, Alex, for the talk. It's been very educative, and over here we've been working on owls and nightjars. We've been trying to map their distribution, especially across IBAs. And just within here, we are able to note that, yes, they utilize farmlands so much more than any other parts, because we had to cut across several land use to investigate their distribution or their utilization of these areas. And we noticed that, yes, they utilize farmlands. But like Alex, when he was answering one of his questions earlier, pointed out, the main problem we have in Africa, again, is changing their perception, their thoughts towards owls and nightjars. So when they hear the calls at night, they feel differently, and some superstitions believe that, yes, it's majorly someone who has come to kill them or some other thing. Well, again, it forced us to look at what time these birds are active at night. And when we did that, we found out that they are even less active at the time people would say they are witches. For example, from the hours of 12 to 2 a.m., we found out that they were less active at these hours. And these are the time people say when they hear the calls of these birds, it's someone who has come to hunt them. So like Alex said, it's very good to understand the superstitions around these birds and also try to change their attitudes. And of course, we would be happy to collaborate more on this subject and see how to discuss with farmers how these birds affect them positively rather than negatively. I forgot to introduce myself properly. I'm from the AP11 Ornithological Research Institute, the famous Ornithological Research Institute based in
Ok, merci à tous. Je crois que avant de parler, c'est mon devoir de dire merci. Merci à toutes ces éminentes personnalités du monde ornithologique. Je crois que je suis très impressionné par cette présentation d'aujourd'hui. I want to say thank you to everybody here for coming in on our Friday for Ornithology, which is nicely pushed by Dr. Eli. I want to express my how can I say, my satisfaction for being here and say thank you to Professor Dominique for joining our Friday for Ornithology at a very high level of this weekly meeting, because she is the president of the International Ornithological Congress. Thank you for joining. I mentioned that you were asked at 6 o'clock while you were here at 11. Thank you also for the nice and high-level presentation Professor Yossi, Professor Alex, and Professor Ivan has made. I think that is for us down here a gift, a very nice gift on these days. I should say special thank you to Professor Yossi. I met on his invitation 20 years ago, 21 years ago in Israel. I was finalizing my PhD doctorate, and I'm very impressed on what he's still being very young and pushing everything. Thank you for being with us today. I guess all these, I might not say student because many of them are now my colleagues, as I was also student of others in 20 years ago. Being here is also a very important thing for all these African, whether Anglophone or French-speaking ornithologists at the first career, and meeting people like you is inspiring because it gives hope that ornithology is not just looking at birds, but also building a team, living together, as mentioned on the speech of Yossi and the others. Bird for Peace is very important for everybody, everywhere you go, and using bird as a tool for putting people together is very important nowadays. Yes, for our French-speaking guys, I will go straight to French. Alors, comme vous avez pu vous rendre compte, je crois que beaucoup ont compris ce que les présentateurs ont montré. Yossi et son équipe, constituée donc de Alexandre, Roulin de l'Université de Lausanne, de Imad, ont montré l'importance d'un groupe d'animaux, particulièrement des chouettes et des hiboux, qui sont utilisés normalement pour rapprocher les hommes. Anciennement, ces espèces sont considérées comme des espèces qui font peur parce qu'on pense qu'il y a des sorciers dedans, on pense qu'ils donnent comme on appelle, ils amènent la poisse. Vous vous rappelez, lorsqu'on voit ces hiboux, tout de suite, on dit qu'il est vaincu au nom de tous les génies qu'on connaît. Donc, utiliser ces animaux pour ramener les hommes ensemble a été le corps de ce sujet. Mais mieux, on a pu démontrer qu'on peut utiliser ces animaux pour améliorer les récoltes et permettre aux agriculteurs de pouvoir se réconcilier avec ces animaux et permettre à des agriculteurs de plusieurs zones différentes en conflit de pouvoir se réunir et à la fin ramener les politiques derrière pour dire voici, les oiseaux sont utiles, les communautés en pays ont pu le conserver, ont pu le voir, et donc ces oiseaux qui ne connaissent pas les barrières sont une source d'inspiration pour les hommes pour dire que ce n'est pas nécessaire pour ces hommes de pouvoir, n'est-ce pas, être tout le temps en conflit. Voici un peu le résumé que je voudrais faire de cette belle présentation donnée évidemment par l'éminent professeur Yossi et ses collaborateurs, le professeur Alexandre et le professeur Imad. On a eu aujourd'hui, je crois, un panel de très, très haut niveau avec le professeur Dominique, qui est la responsable en premier, la présidente de l'Union internationale d'ornithologie. On en parle souvent au laboratoire. Et donc, je pense on doit réellement dire merci à toutes ces personnalités. On n'oublie pas, bien sûr, le docteur Louis Patrick qui nous rejoint, qui donne un nouveau souffle à l'ornithologie, je crois, parce que montrant l'importance médicale des aspects qu'on pourrait aborder en matière d'ornithologie. Je crois également qu'il ne faut pas oublier la reine des sabbats, Elie, qui pousse c'est Friday for Ornithology depuis maintenant. On est dans notre deuxième mois et ça, je crois, ça cartonne. Et c'est, je crois, grâce à sa détermination, grâce aux invitations de haut niveau qu'elle fait. Merci vraiment, Elie, de pousser ces meetings qui, pour nous, sont très importants parce que, vous voyez, en moins de 2 mois, on a eu 5-6 conférences de très haut niveau. Donc, vraiment, merci. On compte sur vous. Maybe I will also mention that during the speech, Alex was discussing about the possibility for we in West Africa to join if we have people devoted, very willing to work on owls. Yes, I might say that, yes, we have now young ornithologists from West Africa, very passionate and also very willing to start with this kind of project. Not only this, but we can start because taking account only for Côte d'Ivoire, we have roughly 20 people were working on birds from our university, and 12 of them are already PhD in ornithology. I'll mention also our friends from Cameroon, from Senegal, who are with us now, who are also trying to do their best for ornithology. Of course, Applaud is here, and our friend from Ethiopia, and yes, we do have now, not now, but we have some people very willing to push and be involved in this kind of international projects. 20 years ago, we were in Israel, and it was our chance to meet Yossi, but also to secondly meet Eli, who I first met in '95. And I should say that last week, when we met Yossi, was also mentioning the possibility to make a 20 years after meeting, whether in Israel or in somewhere in Africa. I want to say thank you already to Yossi, because I know that he is really interested on this kind of possibility to put people together. Maybe the 20 years people you already met in 2001 are not so young, they are still involved in